Okay, so when we start do the actual data pre-processing and data exploration as part of the machine learning model implementation, we will work extensively on the data munging, data visualization part. Okay, we will be using many options that time. Okay, because I don't want to bombard you with a lot of options at the beginning of this or at the introduction of this session itself. Okay, what we will do is this is I imported as usual the pandas. 1 second, let me increase the font size. Sorry, magnify this one. Okay, right. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a data file. So what we are going to do, we are doing some kind of pivoting. Okay, how to reshape the data, something like that one. And I have some. Let me check if I have the data here. Oh, this is a big file. Good. Yeah, this is the file. It has good amount of data in it. Good. Okay, in that case, variant.csv, comma separate is equivalent to comma separated file. So I'm just going to read the external file. UTF-8. Okay, so this is one problem, right? So here I have to specify the UTI code. 1 second, I just used the previous one, right? Or else if we can do one thing, shift tab, the syntax part, Unicode. You have something on Unicode. Encoding, yeah, encoding is equal to none, but by default it is none, but encoding we will have to use the Microsoft related thing. By default it is, oh my god, so you did not give it here, right?
No, it's there, it went up, just fall down.
Oh, okay.
UTF-8 kind of is
No, UTF-8 is not working. We are getting error. That's the reason why I just closed it. Apart from UTF-8, we have something else. I know the other day encoding. We have something encoding is equivalent to I something. It starts with I. No, not this one. 1 second. Let me just check. Encoding for
ISO 8859.
ISO 8859. Very good. Here. ISO hyphen 8859.
8859 hyphen 1.
Hyphen 1. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming for my rescue. Okay, good. So now we are all set. Okay. So 1 second.
How can you find the file, sir? Warranty workspace.
It is there in my laptop. Okay. I'll share it. Okay. Don't worry. Okay. I'll just send you that. Okay. So warranty.csv. Yeah, what I will do is I will share all the data file in the GitHub so that you will be prepared, right? When you get into the call, before call, if you keep it everything ready, you can start practice it along with me. Or else I will do one thing. I'll send it right away. It's little bit WhatsApp. You can use it, right? Best thing, I'll create a WhatsApp group sometime this tomorrow or so that there should not be any confusions. Okay, and I sent today, right? Bala, can you please forward it on my behalf to all, right? Including Saranath. Saranath and other two guys, they did not join. I'll share it later. So you can download it from your WhatsApp. Okay, you know, right, how to, so you can go to your browser web.whatsapp.com, and you can access your WhatsApp from browser. But you need to show your this thing, QR code and all.
Yeah, that I know, but whom and I have to share this?
Share it to Satish and Sarnath. Sarnath, I already sent it, right? Sarnath, 1 second.
Satish, I can send it right
Yeah,
now.
Sarnath, 1 second.
Remaining, I do not have a number.
Yeah, Sarnath, I'll send it right away. Not a problem.
Satish, I sent it.
Good.
Yeah, I received it, Bala.
Fine. Sarnath, I sent it to you also, okay? You can take this and you can start practice it side by side with me, so that you will be able to, I'll just copy paste this command in the chat window, pick up from there. But before that, you need to import those two packages. Okay, ISO 8859-1. I used to remember all the formats, somehow I forgot it. So this is the one. Now let us look at, see, now we ingested the data, we created a data frame by the name of DF. And this is the one is holding all the data of this external data file. Now this data of warranty.csv is available in the data frame DF. It is in memory, it is available in the memory, right? So now what we will do is we will use head top 5 records. Let us take a look at the top 5 records of this data. Let me minimize this so that we can see more number of columns. Here we have 5 rows, 26 columns. If I give head function, it gives you the top 5 records and 26 columns, number of columns, right? Head. So head will give you the top 5 records. Okay, start from zero index to the 4th one. So in a nutshell, 5 records, top 5 records will be displayed, and tail function is to display bottom 5 records. Okay. And now let us just explore the data. We can see that at a high level, right? Sales is 2301, everything is good. So the next step is what will df.d types, whether all the data types got assigned correctly or not. So row ID, we have a column called row ID, integer. Okay, order ID, order date is an object. Okay, we have, the date column supposed to be in date format. But when Pandas reads the date values that are stored in the data file, it will convert that as it will assign object data type. Object data type is nothing but the string data type. And this we can convert it, not an issue. And sales is also float and quantity. All the numerical values are numerical, columns are numerical only, very good. So, and returned, and we have something called returned order period. So, this data set is about a retail data set. It is related to the return items. Okay, how many number of orders we got returns. Okay, basically for the retail industry, one of the pain point is frequent returns from the customers. Some customers, they order it more frequently, and at the same time they return it more frequently, right? The return, if they return it, what will happen is it involves the shipping cost. You are giving free shipping, right? Those customers, they don't prefer the items, they can return it on or before 10 days of the purchase of or receiving the items. So in that case, what will happen is we have to send a person to the customer place to pick up the items. For that, customer is not going to pay anything. So now we will try to understand, let us do some exploratory analysis to understand what other insight we can get it from this data set. Right? Apart from, this data set is meant for finding out the customers, those return the items, and the pattern, why they are returning, which kind of customers, or what pattern we can see, why customers are returning it. Going through millions and millions of records are painful thing. Hence, what we do is we use machine learning algorithm to predict. We train the model with the current or with the historical data, and then we will get the help of the model, the trained model, to predict the future transactions, right? So which customers are more likely to return, which all items we can say, based on which we can do further analysis. Why customers are returning so and so item? Can someone tell me why customers are returning the items? Supposing you ordered an apparel, you ordered a shirt or t-shirt, but you were under the impression these 40 size of your t-shirt maybe a correct fit, but when you received the that specific brand a t-shirt, the size is not it's a extra large or a very small one, right? So hence you wanted to return it. This is a valid reason. There could be a number of reasons likewise, right? So but the whole intention is, if I know in well advance why customers are frequently returning, right? Why they are returning the items frequently, which all items they are returning it frequently. If I get to know well ahead, we will try to mitigate the returns, right? The product returns. That is the whole objective of that exercise. For that purpose, I usually use this data set. But now what we will do is, let's not limit ourselves with that specific objective. Let's try to explore as much as possible with this data set to gain as much insights as possible. Okay, so but we will start with the aggregation part now. Okay, what is aggregation? Summarizing the data. Can someone tell me what all the summary functions are available? Minimum, maximum, average, right? Sorry, minimum, maximum, median or the median, mean, count, and what else? Minimum, maximum, sum, count, right? That is the one we will be using it. Average, that is the one we will be using it. So what we will do is, now we have looked at this data set, and the ship date and the ship mode and date, country, postal code, everything is there. And only thing is, in the date format we have not yet started looking at this. Anyhow, don't worry, we'll see how to manipulate the data, how to work with data types related columns. Okay. Now what we will do is, we'll start with data types. Fine, data types were correctly assigned, and df dot columns, if you give, what all the columns are there excluding the data type, it simply gives you the columns that are there in your data set. Fine, now let us do one thing. Df dot describe, if I give blindly here, what will happen? Df dot describe will give you the statistics for the columns that are numeric, which includes integer and float. So row ID, postal code, sales, quantity, these are all numerical variable. If you look at this, it applied the 5 number summary plus the variation, so standard deviation, the count also we can see it here. So we can see it, all these information, but postal code, though it is a numerical variable, it doesn't make sense including the postal code, to get this the 5 number summary, right? It doesn't make any sense. So hence the row ID is kind of a unique key, something like that. So these two columns are not required. So what we will do is, we'll exclude these two columns, or let us drop these two columns, or simply exclude these two columns and keep only the relevant columns. That is also one of the simple data pre-processing activity we do. Before you fit the machine learning model, make sure that you are keeping the relevant columns in your data set. Don't include all the columns blindly. If you include all the columns blindly to train your model, what will happen is, the model can read some noise in your data, and then it can lead to a prediction error. Higher the prediction error, it is the cause for the concern, right? That means the model is not doing good job. Okay, now let us select only these two columns. Now what we will do is, to start with df, here I am going to do something like country wise. Let us try to do some kind of simple report generation. We will select some product name and category wise. Category, what are the products are there, and the corresponding category, you'll see it. Okay, so these are the product names and these are the category. Fine. If I do something like okay, so what I'm going to do is, so df, here's something called group by, df dot group by, it is a function group by is a function, hence you need to use parenthesis, open parenthesis. So these are the columns. Okay, I'm going to group by, but whenever you use group by, you are supposed to use an aggregation function, right? So if there is a function called AGG that is available here. Now I want to do some kind of aggregation on the sales column. What kind of aggregation? Sum. I just want to do some kind of sum. Okay, here, correct. So here I made a mistake.
You will not close square bracket.
Yeah, this is not required. This is not required. Product name. So look here. So here, country wise, product wise, category wise, sales. Right? Or we can use this way also to make it more meaningful thing. We can include country and then product name and then, so fine. So here in this country, under furniture category, this many number of products they sold, and each product, right, they aggregated it. See, in the, if you look at the data set for the Afghanistan country, for this product, right, multiple the same product they would have sold it more than one time. You see, if this product had they sold it 2 times, right, it would have aggregated that one. For example, 4626.150 divided by 2, 4626.150 divided by 2, right? So 2313, right? Maybe this product cost is 2313.75. Since this one occurs 2 times in the data set under furniture under Afghanistan, it add these two things, 2313.075 plus 2. That is what is happening as part of aggregation. When you use group by, it will not have any duplicate transactional data. It will group all the all the columns, and then it will apply the aggregation. Okay, it will apply the aggregation. So this is what we can see it here. So what I am going to do is, instead of using this, right, we have something called pivot table, pd dot pivot underscore table. So my data frame is df, right? So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say index is equivalent to category. Yesterday we discussed about in the previous session also we discussed how to create an index. Even yesterday, right, in the join we have discussed it. Pivot table df, this is first argument is your data frame, index equal to category. So by default the index values are 0, 1, 2, 3. I wanted to override the default index value by category so that I will get more clarity. So here itself, when I see that this record belongs to furniture, this record belongs to this one belongs to this one, pivot table. Now what we will do is, we will apply, we will do the same thing, country wise we will set. Okay, we will see, just try to explore one by one, and then we will group it everything together. See, instead of using this one, right, this way, we can use pivot table to perform aggregation. So this gives me the line items country wise. Now country became the index, and the on the corresponding values we can see it here, right? And the next one is, I'm going to combine all the things now. So like our group by, right? So in the case of group by, we combined everything. So df index equivalent to country wise, category wise, product wise. We will do it that way. Category wise, product name wise. We will do some kind of pivoting. Good. So country wise, category wise, product wise, and how much discount we gave, and here quantity, we sold 5 quantity, and profit is this much one, and the sales is 4626.150. Okay, so this is how we can generate the report. This is a simple report generating task we are doing it, right? If somebody is asking you, hey, generate the reports, so you can ask me this question, can't I use Tableau? Tableau you can use it, but it involves license. Not all the companies they use Tableau, but even though companies they use, see, when you look at the large companies like Walmart, Target, and right, they use almost all the tools in the universe. But they have different location, different region people in their branch office. They use different tools. You cannot expect, even though you work for Walmart or Target, you will also be getting access to Tableau to generate the reports. Okay, but some group of people only have some licensing thing. But again, internal justification and all will be there. But you will have to use Python only in that case. Okay, and especially when you deal with huge volume of data, even Tableau is not that faster, right? Though they say it is faster, right? It is not that faster. Pandas is bit faster than Tableau from my experience. And also, apart from Pandas, there is something called Dash and JobLib, Pandarallel, likewise many other parallel processing related, importantly PySpark. In the interview, if they ask you, tell them you worked in PySpark, then they will trust you really worked in the real-time scenario. Okay. So, okay, now what we will do is, yes. So, let's start with Pandas. Pandas is a bit faster, okay, compared to other thing, right? So, now what I'm going to do is, I need to say, sorry, here we have something called, what is that? Country values. Yeah, I need to say values here. Values, index and values is sales here. So, I don't want to display all the columns. For my analysis, country wise, category wise, product wise, what is the sales? I wanted to see it. Okay, that's it. Positional argument follows. Okay, sorry. Values is equivalent to sales. You are supposed to say equal, right? This is the argument. Okay, value is equal to sales. Country, category, product name, and this is country wise, product wise, category wise. But here, display all the columns for these three combination of index values. So these three became index value now, but I don't need all these columns. Do I need the postal code, row ID? I don't need it. What I did, I just included only the relevant columns in my index, and the values, the relevant column, which column I needed, I included in the values option. Okay, so in this argument I mentioned this column which I wanted. Supposing if you find 0 here, right? So what you can do is fill, or if you find any missing value, blank value, you can replace the missing value or blank value by 0 here, so that you will get the lot of records. But in our case, we don't have any 0 or blank records here, but here dot, that means it displays only few number of records. We have something called max print, some option is there, I'll show you later, using which you can display everything, or you can store it to a CSV file and then you can view all the records. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy paste it here, the same thing. Okay, I'm going to add additional column along with sales. I wanted to see the quantity. This you are a sales manager. You wanted to see what are the sales happened in each category in product in total. Along with that, if you want to see the quantity, right? By looking at this, you can see, okay, if I include quantity, it gives me additional insight, right? It gives me additional insight. So we sold 5 items because of which, right? This is the only one item we sold it. Fine. So this is how you can include additional columns in your values. And then if I want to do summary, aggregation. So what I'm going to do is we have something called shift and tab. If you don't know the option, right, the arguments, just keep your cursor after the parenthesis and then press shift and tab. You will get help here. So that is the beauty of Jupyter Notebook. And here AGG func. This is what I want to do. This is the aggregation function. I'm going to use AGG func is equivalent to np.num. Now np stands for numpy. np.num. np.num summary. Okay, 4626.50 So the sum of quantity sales, we can see it, right? So this is the aggregated. We applied this sum on this one. Good. So the next one is likewise, right? You can increase the number of columns also. Now after seeing the quantity and sales, you want to explore the profit also for each item. You can include the additional column here. The profit, it is coming here. Okay, the quantity, sales and profit, it got shifted here a little bit. It should be ideally that way. I don't know, so why it is displaying like this. Anyhow, you can store it on Excel and then you can change it. Okay, quantity, sales and profit, it comes here. Sum of profit, everything, it comes. This is how we can reshape the data. Okay, and if you have we have an option called, you remember when I did shift and tab, I saw something like margins. It gives you the grand total. It gives you the grand total. Okay, what is how many number of total items that we sold? So 178,312 items in total we sold. And what are these sales, right? E plus 07. What is E plus 07? 10 to the power 7. So 1.264 into 10 to the power 7. That much of sales we made it. So the margins equal to true helps you to understand, so to get the grand total. And if you wanted to get the category wise, group wise, right? Then you will have to write group by group, and then only you can you can store it. You can concatenate all the things and store it in a CSV file. Okay, fine. So this is a very simple one. We will see the advanced things later. At this moment, if you understand this one, that is more than certain. Reshape of data. Next, what we'll do is we'll start work on the visualization part, data visualization. Okay, what is data visualization? So why we need to visualize the data, right? So that is the one we are going to look at it now. So data visualization. So what is data visualization? Can someone tell me, why do we need to visualize the data? So data can be, right, when you when the data is available in Excel file or CSV file or JSON file, whatever may be the type of the file, when you when you view the data, you cannot get the you cannot see, if the volume of the data is very less, it is very easy to interpret the data. But we are not dealing with less volume of the data. Even with less volume of data, what do you mean by less volume data? We are not using 5 records, 10 records, even in the small size or mid-sized offices, right? Even in the case of small and mid-sized offices, we will be reasonably using 10,000 or 100,000 records. Let's say hypothetically we are using 100 records. Okay, mine is a new startup company. We started 1 month back. 100 records only is the data. Even though my records are less, to gain a quick insight by looking at the data is a bit challenging, right? You might tend to miss out certain insights. Okay, in simple terms, what is data visualization? Visualizing the data in the form of charts, graphs and maps also, right? See, the data visualization, there are a lot of stories around if you look at the history of data visualization, it's a very interesting one. See, in the past, right, though the people, right, way back in 19th century, 18th century, when they those days people are not civilized. When they go for hunting in the forest, right? Some people, they went, went as a group, and they did some kind of hunting. They use some spade, right? Spade and some daggers to kill the animals, and they eat that animals, right? They fry it and they eat it. So even in those days, they used some kind of data visualization, okay, to understand. So how they use the data visualization? Through communication. They said, right, hey, how many rabbit you killed? How many goat you killed today? So how many number of spades and daggers that you used it to attack or kill? How many stones that you pelted to kill the animal? The number of stones, number of daggers, number of things, a number of goats, right? They came up with the data, and then, right, and they draw everything. So I went to this forest through this way. They put map. In that map, so in this area we could see to lot of deer. I am a non-vegetarian, okay. So right. So my father used to tell stories, okay. So they were in village. They used to eat. They ate deer and all those days, okay. So in so and so area, lot of deer is there. In so and so area, lot of rabbit is there, right? So and so area, lot of chicken, all the things are there, right? Those days itself, they started using the charts, maps and all. Maps, right, to navigate, how to navigate from this place to that place. They used the simple navigation or charts or maps to understand which area they are supposed to go in order to do a lot of fishing, right? So in those days they were doing it. See, in simple term, data visualization is nothing but visualizing the data in the form of graphs, charts and maps. So why should I, what is the advantage of doing, why should I do data visualization? Because 90% of the information that is transferred to the brain is visual, right? That is transferred to our brain is visual. So though somebody tells everything, right, we visualize everything. Our brain starts to visualize. When somebody tells, this many number of products we sold and this many number of things we did it, this is the discount we gave, but still we started visualizing everything. In our brain, we draw the bar chart, bar plot, line chart, importantly. So when we do data visualization, we will get to know the correlations between the variable. What do you mean by correlation? Can someone tell me? It helps us to identify the correlations between, right, between the variables, numeric variables. We discussed. Give me a simple example. Academic example is, as the height increases, the body weight also increases. That's a common phenomenon. See, there are exceptions, but this is the common phenomenon. As the height increases, the body weight, or as the age increases, the body weight also increases. The age is a numerical variable, the weight is also a numerical variable. How strong these two variables are having a correlation? Are there any relationship existing between the two numerical variable? Okay, by knowing the relationship, what am I going to do? That is the next step. Simple example. I want to predict an housing price. Okay, how does housing price, the numeric variable, correlated well with the age of the house? Okay, my Pearson correlation tells me, or the COR, there is a function called COR function. Okay, the COR function tells me these two variables are correlated, and it gives me a number. So let's say 0.90. That means the age of the house and housing price, both of them are having a relationship. How strong the relationship? That is where the COR functions are helpful. The correlation function, it tells us the value between -1 to +1. That means if any value which is closer to 1, that means there is a strong positive relationship existing between those two variables. The age of the house and the housing price, these two are numeric variable. Saranath, you agree with me or not? Housing price is a number, right? Number data type, and age of the house also number data type. If I say 16-year-old house, do you think the housing price will be very high? No, right? So right it's a simple common sense, but still to validate that we use the statistical function, core function. It tells me very clearly, yeah, there is a relationship. There exists a relationship between housing price, Karthik, and the age of the house.
Age of house.
Okay, if you say if you say blindly there is a relationship between these two, how strong the relationship? Just for joke purpose, okay. Husband, wife, they are living in the same house. Okay, do they have relationship? Yes, they have a relationship. There is a correlation, but how strong the relationship? If you say 0.9, that means they have a very good understanding, right? This is not the correct example. Sorry, just for people to understand this one, right? I'm just telling because you should not feel sleepy. Okay, see, the housing price and age, these two are correlated. That means correlated means these two are having some relationship. Even though if these two variable having a relationship, we need to look at two more things. One is positive relationship or negative relationship. Housing price, as the age of the house increases, the price goes down. Though there is a relationship exists between these two variables, but it is a negative relationship, right? As the age increases, the price goes down. Okay, how strong the relationship, right? So that's where it gives you some quantitative value anywhere between -1 +1. If it is somewhat close, let's see if the value is 0.8, that means there is a strong relationship exists between these two variables, but it has an inverse relationship. It has an inverse. So another example is price decrease in price. Let's say as you decrease the price, your sale will also increase, right? As you decrease the price, your price will also increase. And another example is, the simple example is, as the age increases, the body weight also increases. In the x-axis, if you plot age, in the y-axis, if you plot weight, right? As the age increases, the weight also increases, obviously. In that case, there exists a relationship between age and weight. It is a positive relationship. As the age keep increases, the weight also keep increases. The same direction, the weight also increases. It has a positive relationship. Is there any way if I can quantify this value? The Americans, they use this value, right? Most of the, not only Americans, customers, when I interact with them, they ask us this question: can you please quantify how strong the relationship? If it is 0.9, 0.95, it is good. If it is 0.3 or 0.4, weak relationship. But still there is a relationship, but it's a weak relationship. If it is 0.5 or 0.6, moderate, weak, moderate, strong, right? That's how we will quantify. By using the scatter plot, we have something called scatter plot visualization, using which you can plot the relationship between two numerical variables. You can find out the relationship between two numerical variables using scatter plot. Scatter plot helps us to identify, right? So now the question is, okay, it helps us to identify the relationship. Take for example the case of age of the house and housing price. So what am I going to do with this? In that case, you can be of very much sure, including the age numeric variable in your machine learning model will be really helpful, because age has an influence on the housing price, right? Other simple example is price. As the discount, let's say discount, when I keep increase the discount, the sale also goes high. Are there any relationship exists between discount and the sales? Yes, but it is not always correct, right? Depends on the product depends on the the segment of the people which they are going to buy. Let's say if they give more discount on Lamborghini car, do you think the sale will go high? Only the high income group can afford to buy. Right, so in simple term, it helps us to identify the relationship between two variables. Which one? By performing by conducting the exploratory data analysis. Data visualization is nothing but exploring the data, analyzing the data. It helps us to discover patterns and spot trend. It helps us to discover patterns. Supposing, let's say you plotted a chart. You generated a chart with the given data, sales data. But by looking at that line chart, we can see that sales, right? Let's say I started my business from 2011 to till date. My business is going on 2011 to till date. I could see a steady increase in my revenue. But in between 2019, I could see a dip in my sales. Just by looking at this chart, I can gain a quick insight. So my business is going, it has been steadily going high, right? I could see a positive growing trend in my revenue, but except 2019 or 2020. Okay, and apart from this, the data visualization, this is the medium to tell us a data story to the viewers, right? As a data scientist or data analyst, you are supposed to tell a compelling story to your business stakeholders, because they don't know what is statistics and they don't know what is machine learning model. By visualizing the data, what you can do is you can tell a compelling story even after building the model and applying the model on the test data set or new incoming data set. Whatever the output, you can see it from the technical point of view. You need to convert them in the business language, right? You need to build a compelling story around the data, okay? So that can help them to help them to take the right action at the right time. And as a data scientist, we should be giving recommendations to them. For example, let's say you are presenting a dashboard to your stakeholders, right? It details out the category wise, product wise, the profits, right? So in that case, the story will start with the profits and losses of various products, and we move on to recommend on how to tackle those losses, right? That's how. So when you find some insight, actionable insight, right, you will come up with action plan in order to curtail or cut down the losses. Okay, right, especially those companies are using analytics and visualization, they can better understand their own businesses, customers, and their competitors, industry trends, right? And it is giving them, it gives the organization or the business a serious market advantage. That is also the important reason why data visualization is very important, very much important. Other example is, look at this one. Just by looking at this Google map, you can decide which route you are supposed to take. Let's say you are in a hurry to reach home after office hour or during the lunch time, because somebody called you from your house, you need to reach home in the afternoon. But by looking at the chart, in a matter of a jiffy, you can make decision, right? What kind of what course of action we can take to reach our home, right? Or which direction can I take my home in order to reach early. By looking at this, we could see quickly the red, the yellow, or the green color, right? The green color is no traffic congestion, okay. The red colored one is, instead of going this route, right, probably if I take or let's say you are here, right, you are here, instead of going this route, better I can go this way. At least here, let's say if your house is here, right, it is good one way, because here the traffic is a bit congested here. Here it is far better. It gives us a sense of data way faster than reading text. Reading the text by seeing the data in a table is painful. Do you think if you see this in a table, right, in an Excel sheet, in so and so area, so and so, right, red, green, it will take longer time for you to decide which route you are supposed to use it to reach your house in a much faster way, right? But if you look at this visualization, it tells you in a jiffy, hey, this one is far better, let's not take this one. Another example is this is the one, right, World Pizza Market. If you look at this one, it gives you a quick, instant idea about the business performance across the globe. You are selling pizza across the globe. Pizza Hut, right, they have their presence across the globe. And just by looking at this, you can gain a quick insight in a matter of a jiffy. Though the volume of the data is very, very humongous. Let's say to get this information, right, you have to do data munging, aggregation of a data which has 1 billion records. Going through 1 billion records to understand the business performance or sales performance, do you think it is possible to understand that one? It is not possible, right? Instead, with a simple visualization, one page visualization, you will get to know what is happening in your company, right? So what are the types of charts are available? Different types of charts are available. Okay, the basic one is a line chart, area chart, and pie chart, donut chart, bar chart. I think most of you are familiar with the bar chart and line chart and pie chart, right? And even the stacked bar chart, I guess few of you would have used it. You would have used it, right? And apart from this, we have some donut chart. Okay, stacked bar chart, right? Likewise, different types of charts are there. Anyhow, I have one use case. I'll show you, how to use all these charts. Okay, and now let us start with understanding scatter plot. As I discussed a while back, scatter plot helps you to identify the relation between two numerical variables. For example, this is my scatter plot. Let's say here, this is my price or something like that. Not price, let's say this is my sales. Sales, this is my price. As the, sorry, not price, discount. Let's say discount. Right? As the discount increases, 5% initially we gave and then 8%. As the discount keep increases, the sales also increases. We could see an upward trend. Not necessarily you can see always the upward trend. Okay, in the real time scenario, right, you might see some kind of downward trend also. So for example, as you increase the price, right, let's say petrol price you keep increase, right, 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 3 rupee. But in that case, right, do you think in the case of petrol price, the sales, you can see the negative trend? Can someone tell me? Or let's say the
realistically not positive.
yeah, so let's say we use Bharat gas or some gas, right, cooking gas. Though the price increases, the sale will remain as it is. We have to buy it no matter what the price is. But when it comes to retail and domestic items, right, as the price, when we increase it, we could see the sales, right, we could see a decrease in the sales, right. Right, well, sorry, the price is $1 increase, yeah, you can see something like this. Sale will be like this. If it is going to be $2 and $3, $4, $5, when you increase $5, your sale will get reduced drastically, right, when you keep increase the price. So there is a negative correlation here. There is a relation exists between sales and price still, but it has an inverse correlation with this. And sales and discount, in this case, there exists a relation between these two variables, the sales and discount, but here it is a positive correlation. Okay, instead of the line going this way, let's say if I draw a line like this. So what this line says, is this a negative correlation or positive correlation? Because it is going in the upward trend, right? So even this one, see this we could see a steep upward trend, though this one is not steep as this one, but still we could see upward trend. Right? So even in this case also it has a positive correlation. Now the question which comes to our mind is, so how do you quantify the relationship between these two? Okay, if you plot both the sales and discount in a scatter plot, and if you get a line like this, let's say hypothetically the correlation values, let's say 0.82. That means this is the one quantifies the relationship between these two variables. Let's say this one is a bit steep, right? Point. That means there is a strong relationship exists between sales and discount, and the correlation value is 0.92. But here in this case, there is a strong positive relationship exists between these two variables, but still it is, the correlation value is 0.82. But this is also good only, okay? But to know how strong, we need a number, right? So that's the reason why we have something called correlation coefficient. Correlation coefficient. We use a notation called R. So the R value will range between -1 to +1. Any value which is closer to 1, it is better. Any value which is closer to 0, that means the relationship is very weak. If it is a negative relationship, it will show negative -1. Okay. If you have something like this, let's I spend more money on TV advertisement. I keep on spending money, $500, $700, $800. This is my sales. If I plot this one, if I get something like this, what do you conclude here? This is a positive. There is a upward trend. There is a downward trend. Here, we don't see any trend. Flat. If you take an ECG to a dead person, it will be like this. That means flat. The sales is nothing, right? There is no relationship exists between these two variables. So hope you understood what is positive negative correlation, and here no relationship. There is no relationship exists between these two variables. No matter you spend whatsoever money on the advertisement, we don't see any sales, right? The sales remains constant. So then why should I do advertisement? See, now you can make some decision, right? You can take make or break decision by looking at this scatter plot. By seeing this, you can decide, oh man, so though I spend more money on the advertisement, I don't see any, then why should I spend money on the ad? Let me stop spending money on the ad. Okay, we have using scatter plot, you can find out the relationship between two numerical variables. Please remember this. Next one is bar chart. What is bar chart? Bar chart is also a visual tool. It uses the bars to compare data among categories. Bar chart, hope most of you are familiar with this. This is my vertical bar chart. This is my horizontal bar chart. And we have something called stacked bar chart. What is stacked bar chart? When will you use vertical and when will you use horizontal? If you are using any nominal variable, usually, right, we use this one, okay, the horizontal bar, especially if the value, whatever you are plotting it here, the categorical variable, right, categorical value, or the category, north region, south region, east region, west region, northeast. In that case, if the the value, the text value is too bigger, in that case we use horizontal chart. A vertical chart, if you don't have the text value is too bigger, we will be using this one. And we have something called stacked bar chart. This is called your stacked bar chart. Right, so even in the case of stacked bar chart, right, it comes in both vertical as well as the horizontal format. Okay, it allows us to compare the trends by scanning the end of this one. Supposing you have let's say within each region, right? You want to compare two different categories. Let's say you are selling only two categories of product, right? In that case, you want to come, or let's say no, let's say this is my quarter 1 sales, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, or quarter 5 sales, right? And each quarter, which category I sold what, right? Here I sold, let's say you are you are selling sports wear, and then you are selling let's your or sports items, and you sell something like stationery items, right? You are combining more than one group in the case of stack at a bar to know the trend, to know the performance or trend. And next we have something called pie chart. Pie chart we know, right? Pie chart is where did I put? Yeah, this is what your pie chart. This is the one shows a static number. So this is all your static number, right? And how categories represent a part of a whole. How categories, see product D or product A, product B, product C, three different categories. How categories represent part of a whole. And also in the case of market share, right? So what is my market share in this? What is my share in this market? Okay. So let's say IBM, their sale is something like that, or Microsoft, and Apple, right? With the different vendors, what is their market share about a specific product? Now the cloud computing is gaining a lot of popularity, right? Who's market? Google Cloud Platform, and Azure, and you have something like AWS, and even right. Likewise, different market players are there. And of these market player, what is each market player's market share? Using pie chart we can see it. That way pie chart is helpful. But here in the case of pie chart, the best practice, don't put so many categories to ensure differentiation between the slices. So this is your one slice. By looking at this, you can see that this slice size is comparatively these two slices, the size of these two slices are comparatively lesser than this one. That means we can gain a quick insight and say, A, product A and product B, the share is very good, whereas compared to these two. But make sure that you don't put too many categories. Okay, it will cause some confusion. And next one is the donut chart. Donut charts also nothing but the pie charts only, but only thing is in the middle you will have some space in it. Okay, you will have middle in the space. So here you can specify the type of pie chart. For example, the market share, right? Market share, something like that. Not much difference between the donut chart and the pie chart. Only difference is here in the middle you will have hole here. Okay, so here you can specify what type of chart is that. Here itself you can specify. And the next one is heat map. Heat map is also graphical representation of data, but this one is very much helpful for any layman, though they do not know how to interpret scatter plot, all the things, right? Or not all the people are familiar with scatter plot, histogram, box plot when it comes to interpretation. But anybody can make out by looking at the heat map. This is for the layman point of view. Look here, right? The category 1, category 2, category 3, whichever box is very big one, that means, right, that is where, or here you can specify some kind of spectrum, kind of like this, right? You can see along with this there will be spectrum. The darker green means the sale is very good, and lighter green, the sale is kind of moderate, but weak, this one is weak, kind of thing. Just by comparing the color you will get to know about the performance, right? The heat map is also very much helpful to understand quickly about your sales performance or something like that. Okay, and next, when it comes to distribution, we know very well, we already discussed about histogram. If you plot the data in a histogram, you can use only the numerical data to plot the values in histogram. Histogram is helpful in terms of identifying the distribution, type of the distribution, normally distributed or left skewed or right skewed. We will get to know that. Whether we have skewness in the data set or not, right? And next, scatter plot. It displays the data distribution through their quartiles, right? So through their quartiles, and we know what is IQR and all, right? So this is, if you know this much at this moment, it is sufficient. Now let us directly jump into Jupyter Notebook, and then we will start explore how to perform data visualization. Can we take a quick 10 minutes break? I could sense, I can understand the mind voice of Satish, right? Feeling angry, including me, right? Can we take 5 to 10 minutes? Is it okay? Or else we can continue it, not a problem. Karthik.
So
Sarla.
everything works fine.
Right, yeah, over 10 minutes we'll take a break, right? And then we will start work on the data visualization part, right? Yeah, fine.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, fine, Satish. Yeah, okay. So with this, we were doing this on reshaping of the data. We will use another data set to see.
You're not sharing your screen.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm trying to do that now. Yeah. So I'm done. So I did this. Okay. So we are going to use some marketing. We are going to perform some kind of marketing analysis. And also we will see how we can plot the charts using the Python packages like matplotlib and Seaborn. I'm going to import the basic packages like fundamental packages. Import pandas SPD, import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT, and import Seaborn as SNS. So if you see star along with this one, see what I did, I just I typed all these things, I just clicked run. Here I saw star, that means it is yet to import. You have to wait for some time. So next week I'll show you how to use Colab, Google Colab. Right, in Colab, how to write Python script using Colab notebook. That is also same as the Jupyter notebook only, but it is on cloud. And how to import the data from our local system to cloud. How to export the data from our local system to cloud, and how to access the data from GitHub directly. And also we'll discuss what is GitHub and all next week. Okay, plt.plot. Let's say 2, 4, 6, some value. Here I'm going to x-axis and y-axis I'm going to say 8, 10, 12. And if I use this one, it is plotting something like that, right? This is my x values, x-axis value, y-axis values, and it is plotting something. Say 2, 4, and 4 to 10, right? So some 4 to 10, right? The x-axis and y-axis. It is simple, line chart kind of thing. Okay. And here, what you can do is you can add label to it. You can add a label to it. How you can do is plt.plot. Or instead of saying this way, right? What I'm going to do is I just copy paste this. I'm going to specify. I'm going to assign these two x and y axis values to a variable called x and y. Plot x comma y, so that it will make more sense instead of blindly specifying something, right? This is the best way of doing it. And the next one is we are going to specify the label, plt.x label. Let's say I'm going to hypothetically some variable age and plt.y label, because if you share the above chart to someone, they will not be understand what that chart is all about. They can say it is a line chart, but what the x-axis and y-axis values are, they cannot understand. So hence you need to specify the label for the x-axis and y-axis, the x label and y label. And plt dot title, we have something called plt dot title. What is plt? What is plt? Karthik.
Plot.
Plot. So,
Plot, very good. Matplot library. This is a library name. This is the, so see, if had I not used this the alias name, what I would have done, what I should have done, right? I should have typed the entire package name. Instead of typing the entire package name, just specify the alias name. So it will save your time. So the children weight by age, something like that. Okay, sorry, this is your age and weight, something like that. Here I give the title, children weight by age. This is my weight by age. Title, this is the title of the child weight by age, and the y-axis weight and the x-axis age. This is how you can plot a simple chart using this one. And also histogram, here some hist function is available, HIST. To disable this one. Okay, salary. Histogram. So histogram is meant for checking the distribution of the data, right? So we have something called, let's say 33 for 23 on 33 some value 43 53 63 68 some values. Okay, and then I'm going to say something like 84 and 94, 52. The bar will size has to go down, right? So that's the reason I'm specifying it here. And I'm going to say plt dot hist. So histogram, it gives me my histogram, and you can also specify the bin size. What is bins? We discussed bin, right? What is bin? These are all called bin. 20 to 40 is a bin, 40 to 60 is a bin, the interval. So what I am going to do is I am going to 0, 10, 20, 30, right? Instead of using the default bin value, I am saying something like this. This something else. So what I'm going to 30, I'm going to say 40, up to say 40, 50, 60, 70, right? So but here I did not specify the bins here, comma bins. Right? So 0 is the bin value start from 0, right? 0 to 10. So each bin sizes, the interval is 10. You can specify the bin value explicitly like this. And okay, next what we will do is we will work on directly the retail marketing data set. Okay, marketing, you go to pd.read underscore csv. I think I kept everything here. The retail, this is my marketing data set. 254 records are there. Let's say you are given this data set. You are a marketing manager. You need to perform some kind of marketing analytics to understand the customer's behavior, right? Purchase behavior or spend behavior, right? So spend behavior. With this we are going to understand. So these are kind of a demographic data. The age, gender, whether married or not, salary, number of children. These are all kind of demographic data. And this is kind of the previous amount spent. This is kind of behavioral data. Demographic data plus behavioral data. So demographic, graphic data and behavioral data. So just by looking at this, we can understand, these are all the behavioral data. Because when I sent what is catalog? Catalogs are nothing but the brochures. You send the catalogs to the customers periodically, every once in a month or every once in a fortnight. You keep sending them whenever there are any discount to a specific product, right, or category. You will be sending, or let's say the grocery items, right? Grocery items, in case of any offer, you will be sending the catalogs to these customers. So by looking at the catalog and the amount spent, the current amount spent, previous amount spent, we can understand their behavior, purchase behavior. When I send more catalogs, are there any increase in their amount spent, or is it remains as it is, right? So that is what we can see. The whole idea is, this is my the marketing data set. We are spending money. The organization or the retail store, they are spending money by sending the catalogs to their customers. Okay, so whether sending the catalogs to the customers really has any influence on the amount spent by the customers. And also we'll try to understand, or we'll try to gain an insight in such a way which all factors can drive the the more spent in my retail or in-store shop, online or in-store. Which factors can drive more sales. That way, what I can do is, I'll try to optimize spend on sending the catalogs blindly to all the customers. Let's say my customer base is 1 million. Our customer base is 1 million. Per customer, to send one catalog, hypothetically, let us say I love to spend $1. If I have to send the catalog to my $1 million, how much money should I spend? Saranath, Karthik and others. I just repeat it, okay? Trying to hold your attention here, okay? To send one catalog, it costs, let's say hypothetically $1. $1 is, is very less one. Anyhow, and my customer base is 1 million. If I have to send the catalog to my 1 million customer, what will happen? How much money I should spend?
1 million.
$1 million, right? So 1 million into each person 1 rupee, $1. So 1 into 1 million, $1 million I'll have to spend. So I'm wondering, right, as a marketing manager, I'm wondering, is it really going to be worthwhile? Are they really going to spend? If I spend $1 million, what is going to be my ROI, return on investment? This kind of a campaign. What is campaign? We want to launch, in the past, based on the campaign they launched it in the past, they recorded these data. When I sent 12 catalogs to this customer at this age, for this age, and gender is 0 is female, okay, and 1 is male, and own home. So 0 is they don't own. See, as I told you, right, they've done some kind of encoding. These are all the categorical variable. Here 0 says nothing. They are not married. They are not owning house. Gender is 0 means they are, it's a female. Okay, the age is 73. This customer is a female customer. Her age is 73. She is unmarried and she is not having any house. What is close? How close this customer is to my store? If it is 1, that means true. That means this customer live very close to my shop. And what is her salary? And what is her income and children? 1. Oh, okay. But previous customer, yes, previously they purchased. And previous spent and catalogs. How many catalogs we sent to them, and in return, what was the amount spent by them? But so now you understood the data. First, you need to understand the data. Without understanding the data, you cannot get a good insight from this. You cannot derive a good insight. First, that's the reason why domain knowledge is very important. And if you understand the data very clearly, the context for each and every. For example, close. What is close? Close is, are they living closer to my shop or not? You need to get it clarified with the business stakeholders what these columns are. Once you are familiar with these columns and the data, the next step is to start exploring. Okay, on a piecemeal basis, start exploring. Okay, and then see what kind of insight you can get it. Now we have catalog, amount spent, all the values are there here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot an histogram. plt dot hist function. So now MKT of the amount spent. Let us see what is happening. So what is your understanding here? What is your understanding? Let me see how many of you were able to follow my descriptive statistics. Amount spent is a numerical variable. You can use numerical variable only to plot the histogram. That is pretty straightforward. We did it. This is what we can say. What can you interpret from this? See, this is the frequency. The histogram, don't forget it. In the y-axis, it is a frequency, and 0 to 1000. This is the amount spent. $0 to or let's $1 to $1,000. How many customers they spent? Close to 90 customers. 90 customers spend is close, between 0 to 1 to let's say $500. 1 to $500, or roughly speaking, $1 to $1,000. Between 60 to 80 customers they purchased it. But when you look at this one, how many number of customers they spend more than 3,500? Hardly few, right? If you draw a line here, probably 2 or 3. Hardly few people. So with this data, we could understand that people above 2,000, the spend is less here in our retail shop. The spend is not that good, right? Fine. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy paste this one, and I have something called distribution plot. So I'm going to plot it like this. Let us see what this one is all about. Okay, plt dot. Sorry, this comes as part of SNS. SNS stands for CBOM.
Satya,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. I have a medical emergency. I'm just leaving the class now. We'll continue.
Yeah. Please take care. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can watch my video. Bye. Take care. This plot. See, dist plot. Okay, distribution plot. So in this case, the amount spent. See, this is same as histogram. When you look at the distribution plot, you can see histogram, the same histogram, but you can see something like this, right? This is called KDE plot. What is that? KDE plot, kernel density estimation. KDE stands for kernel density estimation. So the kernel by default it is true. This has been, that is the reason why the KDE this chart embedded on this one, okay, embossed on this histogram. So here you can see the distribution, the normal distribution kind of thing, right? When you look at this histogram, please note very carefully. When you look at this histogram, you tend to think this is right skewed. But when you use the dist plot, by default dist plot, there is an option called KD. I'll just show you shift and tab. Look here, KD equal to true, kernel density estimation. It draws the bell curve. The bell curve gives us an idea that it is approximately normally distributed. It is not exactly right skewed, because the beauty of KDE is it takes into account of all the values, but here it goes by the histogram takes into account of the bins only, the intervals, right? It takes into the value. Let's say if you have values less than 0, right? It is not taken into account. Which one is histogram? In your data set, if you have less than 0 also, right, it will be there. Now you must be wondering why negative, can negative values has any, this one, right? There could be chances returns, right? Amount spent, they would have spent, and but the return is, you after you debit that one, right, you will get something. But again, this one takes into account of each and every value from 0. Which one? The KD, kernel density estimation. Whereas this one goes by the interval. Okay. So okay, now let us look at the box plot. When will you use box plot? Let's say MKT and the same thing, amount spent. This is my box plot. With the box plot, what you can understand here. So you can get 5 number summary, but it is a vertical box plot. It is not a horizontal one. Anyhow, let it be there. Okay. So this one gives me some idea, but this is my minimum value. This is my maximum value. This is my median. This is my Q1 and this is my Q3. Anything above this line is called your outlier. How many of you remember the outlier formula? How to compute the outlier formula? So lower quartile minus lower quartile into 1.5, right? So lower quartile plus lower quartile into 1.5. So this is not 1.5, IQR 1.5 into your IQR, right? Yeah. This is my
IQR is Q3 minus Q1.
Yes, correct, right? Yeah, upper quartile plus 1.5 into IQR. So with this formula, we can find out the outliers. Is there any other alternate that I can find out the outlier? You can simply use this visualization, box plot. When you use the box plot, if you find any value below the minimum, or if you find any value above the maximum, that means you have outlier. So look here, this is maximum, and these values are 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 records or 4 values are above this one, hence it is an outlier. We have an outlier in our data set. By exploring this data using box plot, we are able to find out some kind of outlier in my amount column. But don't worry, if I have an outlier, will that be a problem? Yes, it will be a problem. Then can I remove those data which are outlier? You can remove it, but not always we remove it, because sometimes outliers can be a valid data. What do you mean by valid data? Not all the days are my business is good, but suddenly, fortunately today, a marriage party, they stormed into my shop, the restaurant, because of which today's sale is very good. But if when you plot the data in a chart, every day the sale is not so good, but suddenly something is very high. Yes, outlier is there. Does that mean today sale is not good? Valid outlier. That is what I am trying to say. Okay, next what we will do using box plot. We found 2 columns, categorical, own home. Those own the house and their salary. We'll just explore this salary for those people who are owning the house. So using the box plot, we can plot the categorical variable, right? So here, what is own home? What value did you find it in own home? Can you please all concentrate here? We'll finish it off in 15 minutes, okay? Don't worry. What is own home? 0, 1, 1. What is 0? 0 says they don't own the house. 1 means they own the house. Married and salary is this one, 5. So now I plotted this one in the x-axis, the own home. Own home has 2 values, right? 0 and 1. So unmarried people, those do not have house, and these people are owners, right? One is owner, they own the house. These people, they don't own a house. Maybe they are rental house. Yeah, they are living in a rental house. These people are living in a own house, owners, non-owners. But if you look at the salary, what is your interpretation here? What do you infer from this one by looking at this chart? Compared to the
Who
people-
own the house, they have high salary.
very good, right? Those who own the house, the salary, median salary is much more than those do not own the house. But here, these people, right? Those do not have, there is an outlier. Okay, anyhow, only one person, there is an exception case here. Fine, but majority of them, if you look at here, right, the owners, those who own the house, their salary is good. So what do you conclude now? What kind of marketing strategy that you can come up now? So with this, we can probably, do one thing. We can send more catalogs to the people, those who own the house, because their salary is very high. The chances are high that they can spend more. Yeah, they can spend more, right? Yeah. And next, I'm going to say something called what else we have? Yeah, let me do one thing. I'll just copy paste this one. We have another categorical variable, married. Now let us compare married versus salary or the amount spent, right? Let us see the amount spent. I'm using Seaborn. SNS stands for Seaborn package because Seaborn is much more robust than Matplot. Okay. Here, married people, 0 means unmarried, 1 is married. So with this, we can understand the married people, they are spending more compared to unmarried people. Obviously, that is a common phenomenon, isn't it? Married people spend is more than the unmarried people when it comes to retail. Okay, retail shop, because groceries and all you have to buy because more people, right? Married people, family size is big. So next, what I'm going to, we have an option called hue. So you can plot more than 2-dimensional data here. You can have one more dimension. You can add additional dimension to your chart. So now what I'm going to do is, married people, those who own the house, rental married people, and those who own the house, right? Married people, what is their spend? We will just go with additional dimension and see here. Here married 0, 0, 1, 0. See, this is 0. This is for unmarried, single. This is married. But within single and married, there are 2 categories, right? In single, in the case of single, 0, 1. What is 0 says? They don't own the house. Rental house, they own house. Rental, own house. In the case of single. In the case of married also, we could see there are 2 categories of people, single and, rental and own house. But when you compare these two, married and unmarried, single and married, see, even single people can also own the house. Just because they are single, it doesn't mean everyone, all the singles have to live in a rental house, isn't it? So here, these people, right? This guy is single, but he is owning house. But if you look at it holistically, the rental house, right? Married people, those live in the rental house, their spend is more compared to single. That is one insight. What is the other insight? Look at this one. Very interesting, isn't it? Look at this one. The married people, the owners of the house, right? Married owners, their spend is much more than unmarried owners. So holistically, what we can understand is married owners spend is more, and those who own the house, right? Owners, single owners spend is more. So we can target these two segment of people now. This is what we are able to understand by looking at this data. What do you mean by target? Send the catalogs to these guys, so that the chances are high that these people can buy more, right? So this is what the insight we are getting it. So next what we will do is we have something else called, one second, own home. Yeah, own home, and this is the box plot I used, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another thing here. I'll just put it here. We have something called strip plot, strip plot. See how this visualization are helpful in terms of getting in-depth insight. Look here. So this is the own home and salary. Here I used the box plot, but here I am using the strip plot. The median spend of the rental people is 40,000. Median spend is here close to 70,000. But when you use strip plot for the same axis, right, axis variable, you can see it here very clearly how scattered these values are. But when you look at here only 20,000 to probably 59,000, this Q1 and Q3, right, it goes somewhere here and the outlier is here. But when you look at here, you can see the clustered values are here, right? Majority of the spend is somewhere here, but here it bit scattered. It is very scattered, but it's we can see some kind of here, right, dense pattern we can see between 10,000 to 40,000. Between 10,000 to 40,000 the spend is more, right? Up to 60,000, correct, up to 60,000. But here if you look at this one up to 80,000, and but within this where the density is very high, right? How where the density is very high, that is what we can see here. But here it is too scattered. Obviously it is not that much, right? But if you look at anything between 60,000 to 80,000, within this 60,000 to 80,000, we can see the values are more clustered around this one. But still here also, right, look here, 45,000 to up to this one, it is scattered. I mean the dense, right, the values are so closer. The values are clustered very well between here and here. So compared to if we extend this to strip plot, we will get in-depth spread of the spend. Okay, and this is what we can understand from this one. And what else we can do is, what other columns are there? And we have something called jitter. Okay, we have something called jitter option, the same thing, but it is strip plot. The same strip plot. But here by default you have something called jitter equal to false. But if you enable it true, so right, this is how you need to explore the data. Okay, so here I'm going to add additional dimension here. Okay, here what I'm going to do is salary, salary and own home and married people salary we'll see in addition to this. So hue is equivalent to mkt dot married. See, now you can add one more dimension, right? So with the help of Seaborn, usually we can plot only two-dimensional value. If you want to have additional kind of a stacked bar chart, right, you can combine additional column, right? You can have additional dimension. So if you look at this one, these people are living in rental house, they are living in the own house. But the 0 is unmarried, 1 is married. It gives you very clear picture, right? It gives you very good clarity here. So here we can see very easily you can find out the married people, 1, right? These people are married people, and those who own the house, their values are clustered like anything, right? They're clustered together like anything. And again here also it is clustered. What is that?
They are higher. I mean, they have high salaries.
Sorry, yeah, salary, not spent. Yeah, the salary is more, right? The majority of the people are falling here. Unmarried and married are falling here. It makes this one very clear, right? Very clear. And here, if you see here, majority of their salary are clustered here only, right? Most of their salary for the rental household, right? Those living in the rental house, majority of the salaries are clustered very here. So it gives me much better insight than this one, right? So if you look at here, you just think 20,000, but here, less than 20,000, I could see majority of their salary are, less than 20,000 here, right? Majority of them, they clustered, but here it is scattered, and up to this it is here also, right? Between here and here, 40,000, here also, right? We can say roughly 10,000 to 40,000, 45,000. Majority of the salary is somewhat good, but in between the salary, here some scattered values are there. It helps you to understand very clearly where exactly the values are clustered together. Dense values. Here you can see dense, right? Here also you can see dense. Here also you can see dense values, right? Somewhat here, right? Here you can see dense, and here you can see dense here. So it gives you the additional perspective about the data. So that is the reason why using different types of chart is also playing an important role to get a much better insight, because whatever insight that you are extracting, that is very crucial for decision making. Okay, next I will show you here something called swarm plot. Swarm plot. So I'm going to use the same instead of this one we can use children here, right? Let us see children. The general phenomenon is a family where they have more kids, the spend will be more, isn't it? Because the ration required for a house is very high. Am I correct? Sarnath and Karthik. Karthik, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Right? When you have, when a family has only one kid, or if they don't have any kid, they don't have any necessity to spend more. Am I correct? Now let us validate this common phenomenon or the assumption or hypothesis with this data set. You need to validate the hypothesis. Now let us do, this is a very interesting case study. Okay, please concentrate here. And here what we will do is, here I am going to use the box plot itself. Look here. So 0, 1, 2. This one gives much better clarity. Look here. But the swarm plot gives with respect to the density, how dense, right? So when you look at this one for children, so now what I did, own home, salary and children. 0 means they don't have children. 1 is they have children. 1 children, 2 children, 3 children. This one is 3 children. These people, they don't own the house. They are living in the rental house. Rental house, own house. In the case of rental house, some family they don't have kids. Some family they have 1 kid, 2 kid, 3 kid. And when it comes to own home, this is the thing, right? That they have 3 kid, and this is my salary. Okay, in the y-axis I plotted salary. What do you infer from this one? What kind of story you can tell your management or stakeholders? Saranath or Karthik and others. What kind of story you can tell by seeing this one? 0 means they are not living in a own house, rental house. 1 is they are living in a rental house. Sorry, own house. 1 is own house. They are, that category has been mentioned very clearly here. The y-axis salary is there.
Those who have rented house and have more than two children, they have higher salary.
Yes, very good. Yeah, so they have rented house. Those have rented house, huh?
No, own house.
Those have own house. Those have own house,
And have
and
three
they're
children.
more than two children, right? Their salary is way high. Look here, this is my median salary. The highest salary is, right? This is a Q3 salary, right? So 10,000, sorry, 100,000, 1 lakh. So married people, sorry, not married people, those people are instead of this one, right? We will use the married instead of this one, right? Yeah, we'll see that one. So, yeah, the same thing is applicable. Married people and those have more than two kids, their spend is going high. But unmarried people, those have kids, one kid, the spend is less. It is bit, but when you look at this, right, it is quite interesting, right? The spend is not that correct, not not reflecting this pattern. Those have more kid, their salary is not good, right? 3 kid, but the salary is not good. Okay, or let us do one thing. Amounts instead of salary, we'll see amount spent. We are very particular about amount spent. Look here, amount spent and children. If you look at this, those have more than 2 children, married people, the spend is less. It's quite opposite. Very interesting, isn't it? Listen very carefully, please concentrate. See, concentration is very, very important. Okay, and let me just show you. But when we looked at the salary, we got confused, right?
Yes.
So when we looked at the salary, we saw there the pattern with the pattern of this data, right? We could see that married people with more kids, their salary is very high. Obviously, those யார் வீட்டில் நிறைய குழந்தை இருக்கோ அவங்க நிறைய ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணுவாங்கன்னு முடிவு பண்ணிட்டோம். But when you, right, but it is not same. Though married people have more than 2 kids, their salary is very high, but the spend is not high, less. This is how you need to go in detail and explore in all aspects in order to come up with a conclusion. Just blindly looking at one aspect and you cannot decide, okay, just because married people, those have more than 2 kids, their salary is very high, hence they are more likely to spend more. But it is not that story. Now you tell me whom we should send the catalog. As I told you, blindly if I send the catalog to 1 million customer, I will have to spend $1 million. But do you think if I send the catalog to these people, this group of people and this group of people is worthwhile?
No, sir.
No, right? So no. And what you can see, even to send the catalog, you have some amount of budget constraint. You cannot blindly send it to everyone, right? Please concentrate here. I'll explain you with this example, okay?
I can learn to understand you much better if I can get familiar with the way you talk. I need your permission to help.
Alexa. Yeah, tell me, you were saying something, right? 10 o'clock, huh?
No, sir. CSV file you will be sending it to this marketing.
1 second, I'll send you. Don't worry about the data set. 1 second, I'll send you the everything after this section, okay? But if I send you now, you'll get confused, okay? Wait.
Okay, sir. No problem.
Okay, I'll just show you with this one. See, but you have to listen very carefully. Otherwise, very simple idea, because in real time scenario we get different complex data, and the domain is very complex to understand the terms, everything. Okay, so look here. So here, let's say my customer base is 1 million, and to send the catalog to one customer, it will cost me how much? Sorry, 1 million customer, to send the catalog, how much I have to spend? 1 million into $1. So those of you do not respond, you are not concentrating here. Please concentrate it. $1 million you have to spend, right? You'll have to spend $1 million to send the catalog. But I know I don't want to. Do you think if you blindly send $1 million, spend $1 million, and sending each and every customer the catalog, will it make sense? See, take for example, the politics, right? DMK, ADMK. If you send all the catalogs to the DMK party, or ADMK related catalogs to DMK party, do you think they will like it?
No.
Right? Sorry, I don't want to get into that one, but just for you to understand this one. So, if you send the catalog to the relevant people, the chances are high that they can spend more, and at the same time your spend on courier will be less. The goal is reduce the spend. Wait, I'll try. Reduce the spend on expenses, right? Spend on expenses. I want to reduce the spend on my expenses. And at the same time, I want to maximize the sales, right? I want to maximize my customer spend. How can you do this? So this is the two important goals when it comes to launching any campaign or something like that. So now, see, this is the data which we used was the historical data. In the past, we launched a campaign by sending the catalogs to different customers with different number. With that, how much they spent, that data is there. With that, we did some kind of exploratory data analysis using various charts. What is the goal of the conducting the exploratory data analysis? We wanted to make sure that we don't want to spend blindly $1 million by closing our eyes and sending the brochures to each and every customer. So whom should I send? If I send the right people, the right catalog, the chances are high that they may come to my shop and they can buy more. So with this, we are able to understand married people with less kid, they are spending more. Is that correct? See, these people are married people,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
In the married itself, no kid, 1 kid, 2 kid, 3 kid. But as the number of kid goes high, their spend is less.
Yes.
Hence, we will target married people, those do not have kid, with more number of catalogs. When we send more catalogs to the married people and no kid, they can spend more. If you look at nowadays, most of the married people, if you look at it, both of them are working. The couples are working. Their income is more, and at the same time, if they don't have any issue, they don't mind spending more, right? They spend more initially at the first year. They will be spending more. After marriage, they ask kid, they will have a kid, the kid, hospital expenses, every once in 2 months also they have to vaccinate, they take the kid to the hospital, and the expenses will go high. So here, by conducting the exploratory data analysis, it enlightened me to concentrate a specific segment, right? For example, my manager tells me, hey, I can give you only $2,000. I can give you $2,000 for marketing. அப்படின்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்? $2,000 only I can give you for the marketing expenses. So per person, if you send the courier, how many persons registered per person it costs?
2,000.
Yeah, you can send the catalog only to 2,000 customers. But if you send the 2,000 catalogs to these people, what will happen?
Sales will be.
Waste of money, right? You wasted $2,000. But you are a smart guy, you are a smart marketing manager, you are conducting some kind of exploratory analysis. With this, you are able to understand, man, so my budget is only $2,000. I can send 2,000 catalogs to my customers, but now I'm very smart. If I send it to married people, those do not have kid, these $2,000, there, I can make sure that all the 2,000 customers are more likely to come and buy from my shop. So in that way, but if you send here, what will happen? They will not buy. $2,000, probably out of 2,000 customers, probably 200 customers or 20 customers would have purchased it. Waste of money. Remaining $1,800 you wasted. But whereas here, $2,000 you spent, you sent the brochure to 2,000 customers. The chances are high that all the 2,000 customers can come and buy from you. Let's say per customer, my profitability is $5. How much return am I going to get? $10,000. By spending how much? By spending $2,000, I got $10,000. This one, the markup value, the revenue, right, or the profitability. This is my margin, right? By sending, or let's profitability, right? So this is my revenue. We can say revenue by sending 2,000 catalogs to my 2,000 customers. Per customer, if the profitability is 5 rupees, so this is what the profit I'm going to get, right? This is profitability. So I'm going to get 10,000 profitability. But if I send this segment of people, what will happen? Hardly maybe 10 people they will spend, right? 10 into 5, you will get $50 only. Remaining amount, whatever you spent, was waste. Right? This is a very simple example, okay? And this is how you need to explore the data, but don't limit your exploratory journey as soon as you get some insight. Look here, by seeing this, don't generalize here, right? So by seeing this one, married people, the married people, their salary is very high, especially those who have more kid. But when you explored, when you went one step ahead, and when you conducted the exploratory with this 3 columns, you are able to understand whatever the hypothesis you made or whatever you've seen it here was not correct. This is a classic example, right? So you can understand those people do not have kid, their spend is more. End of the day, spend matters. Hope you understood, right? So what I will do is I will send you the data set and this notebook also. You just take a look at this. You can also start practice it. See, per day if you spend, per week if you spend hardly 3 hours, that is more than to execute this thing. How long it will take? But don't ever postpone it. Execute it. But if you are following my sessions, continuously and consistently, as soon as you complete this training program, you can probably take 2 to 3 weeks time break to revise whatever I teach, and definitely you will get placed with close to 60 to 70% salary hike. Even a fresher, the day before yesterday, 3 days back, he called me. Not fresher, 3-year experience guy, 24 lakhs. There is something called tech. He got a job with Daily Hunt, Bangalore, 18 lakhs. Okay, but he is an NIT guy. He studied in NIT, and he currently is working with Fidelity. His salary is 14 lakhs. The NIT guys, the initial salary itself very high. You know very well, right? And now he got a job with Daily Hunt, and he was not okay to move to Bangalore. And Tesla, Tesla, right? Tesla employees, few employees, they started their own company, right? That company startup, the office is there in Chennai also. He got a job 22 lakhs. Okay, so and also it is very interesting, isn't it? Instead of doing simple, take the data set and write some, the rule based or implement the rule based logic, and right, this is very interesting one. Likewise, when you keep explore the data, you will get more data, so insights, especially when you work with the business data, huge volume of data, you will get very interesting insights. How did you find this one? Is it interesting or boring?
It is interesting. I have one doubt actually, Satya.
Yes,
Is
Bhagat.
possible instead of running in Jupyter book, right? We getting the output like in Jupyter book itself, right? If running in something like a non-UI kind of IDE, right? It is possible to get the data and put it in Excel.
Yeah, you can store it in Excel also. You can store it in image file also. See, what we will do is we will just copy image and go to PowerPoint. When you present it to the customer, we use PowerPoint, right? You just paste it and you simply present it there. See, the whole objective of using the Jupyter Notebook, it is very interactive. Let's say you are presenting it to the customer in the PowerPoint with this image. They will say, right, no, it is nowhere correct. They might start saying that this is not the correct report. But if you show this along with the script, right, they will have to believe, they will believe it.
Yeah, I understand.
Right, that is the reason why Jupyter Notebook is used by data analysts and data scientists, because it is interactive.
Yeah, got it.
Right, yeah. But in reality, what you are asking is correct. When we present it to the management, we use PowerPoint. In PowerPoint, we put the charts and then we will put some annotations like text and our recommendations. Based on this, what we understood, these are the action plan we can come up, or these are the recommendations we can make it. That way we will do recommendation. But in order to do recommendation, obviously you need to have more domain knowledge, right? The specific domain knowledge, if you have it, you can go extra mile and add more valid recommendations. So now you understood how the data visualization, with this, how you can perform exploratory data analysis, how you can compare and contrast, how you can find out the better insight, and with that insight, how you can influence the top and bottom line, right? So here, by looking at this, now you are able to make a correct decision and you can make the correct recommendation. You can say, hey, target these customers. Instead of targeting these guys, don't ever target these guys, target this guy. Send the catalogs to these people. So this way, right, you are influencing the cost, the expenses, right? You are influencing in a positive way, right? You are reducing the cost here. And you are maximizing the revenue also, top and bottom line, right? So top line you are increasing it, bottom line also increasing, top line also increasing, you are cutting down the cost also.
Yes.
Right? Fine. So what I will do is, I'm going to end this session. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue, not tomorrow, upcoming weekend we'll continue with how to handle the missing values. That is important topic, don't miss out. This is just only 2 days in a week. Don't ever miss out, okay? Even I'll try to write. Even today evening I was feeling very tired. Still I thought we have to have a systematic way, right? If you don't follow systematic way, you are gone, okay? We have to follow systematically. You are not going to take any more break. Please continuously attend. The return is very high because the duration is bit longer. Most of them, they feel tired, but don't worry because just 2 days only, okay? You need to motivate yourself, that's all. Fine, we will continue from next weekend, okay? Good night. I'll send you the script and data set also, don't worry.
Satya, one more question. Can you share the yesterday's video also?
நீங்கள் என்ன பண்ணுறீங்கன்னா சரணார், யூ சப்ஸ்கிரைப் மை யூடியூப் சேனலா? இங்கே பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு வந்து அங்கே ஒரு நோட்டிஃபிகேஷன் வரும்.